Around the world, governments and major tech companies are moving rapidly towards digital identification systems. Apple launched theirs, Europe is rolling out theirs, and once these systems are fully in place, they won't just verify who you are, they'll be able to dictate what you can do. That's where this is heading. A world where access to your own money, travel, medical care, even basic services can be switched on or off based on your compliance. And if all your wealth sits inside a digital system that someone else controls, you don't really control it. That's why so many Americans are turning to physical gold and silver, real freedom money that cannot be frozen, tracked, or turned off by any digital authority. Genesis Gold Group's brand new Digital ID Resistance Wealth Guide breaks down exactly what digital IDs mean for your financial future and how physical precious metals can help protect you before these systems become the new normal. Don't wait until the switch flips. Get your free Digital ID Resistance Wealth Guide right now at dailypulsegold.com. Again, that link is dailypulsegold.com. Wow. Wow. I mean, these were all suspicions that we had previously. I guess it's just now the fact that it's confirmed. I do want to ask you about some of the moves that we see being made right now. The US recently announced that it's ended its relationship with the WHO. However, our investigations and that of investigative journalist John Fleetwood show that actually, no, the US is still collaborating with the WHO where it comes to the influenza pandemic, which of course is also incorporates bird flu and vaccinations around that. We also have $500 million being directed by the US for further bird flu research, gain of function still going on. And now we have the WHO that we just reported this yesterday, just conducted a pandemic scenario exercise like Event 201, except this time we had 31 governments participating in this. And we still have a lot of mRNA in the pipeline of these vaccine manufacturers, Nick. Do you see any of this changing, or is this just kind of a repeat of what we've seen in the past?
Yeah, the biopharmaceutical complex remains fully operational. This is a transnational global syndicate that operates on creating the pandemics, creating the countermeasures or mRNA injections, and profiting and gaining control from both. And so they're still there. Clearly, there's individuals within our government that are trying to still solidify our relationships with the World Health Organization, unfortunately, like John Fleetwood has found. And yeah, we're not out of the woods yet. We have to remember there's thousands upon thousands of biolaboratories in the United States alone, many of which do conduct gain of function experiments with viruses, fungi, and bacterium. And we do not want a modified fungus to get out, that is for sure. Bill Gates himself is funding multiple biolabs across the globe. He's previously funded bird flu gain of function research at University of Wisconsin-Madison, illicit biolabs in Africa. So yeah, we got to be on the lookout for these illicit activities. These should be banned. It's absolutely ridiculous. They're still allowed to modify pathogens. And so now they go and run these war game scenarios, these pandemic simulations, basically in expectance of what they claim they know is coming for sure. And we have to ask, how do they know it's for sure coming? Well, the same situation as with COVID-19. Event 201, they war game it right before, literally basically the exact same scenario, and then voila, it comes out of a lab, an so-called accidental leak a few months later. So yeah, we got to be on the lookout for that.
Well, I think how do these things keep happening is a question that people may have. And you tweeted this just this week. Breaking, Bill Gates was planning pandemic simulations with Jeffrey Epstein in 2017. And we have the email chain about that. Also some interesting, talk there about neurotechnologies. We've also seen coming out of those Epstein files a lot about gene editing. Epstein was very interested in gene editing. Modifying humans, all of this stuff that we just think is very Frankenstein and comes out of It's largely been normalized by the biotech industry, but Epstein was talking about this years before we saw it hit the mainstream. And we have evidence of Bill Gates planning these pandemic simulations with Epstein all the way back in 2017. It seems like whatever network Epstein was a part of, whether he's dead or alive, I don't know, but whatever network that was is still in operation, Nick, because we keep seeing the same patterns.
Yeah, we keep seeing the same patterns. And clearly, based on those documents, it appears that Jeffrey Epstein was involved in much more than just child trafficking and sex slavery. He was doing even, child torture. And, what I read in there was dismemberments of children. I mean, all sorts of terrible things. But yeah, now apparently he was involved in pandemic simulations with Bill Gates. Two people with no public health expertise, no health experience, no training in any of this stuff. So, why is a child trafficker involved in pandemic simulations? I don't know. Clearly, there was something much deeper involved there, and that really needs full-on investigation, intensive federal investigations into at least Bill Gates what was he doing with them in 2017? We got to get to the bottom of that for sure.
Right. Well, Todd Blanchard said that's it. We're done. Essentially, case closed. I beg to differ. We definitely have a lot of questions that need answers here. And the fact of the matter is, if we have someone like Bill Gates on an email exchange with Jeffrey Epstein, talking about pandemic simulations, gene editing, all of these other things, surely that person wouldn't still be welcome at the White House. But recently, Bill Gates said that he's working with President Trump on gene editing. So I'm wondering what's going on here.
Yeah, that was very disappointing. I remember seeing Gates, I believe it was right next to Melania Trump. He's just like, how does he get there? We don't know. So clearly they're compromised. The executive branch is compromised, allowing these globalist individuals who would like to lessen the number of people across the globe into the White House. It's very worrisome. And, hopefully we don't see him again in there. If he's in there, we know for sure that the executive branch is fully compromised. And, we have to remember also that came out in the Epstein files was Bill Gates allegedly, got an STD from a Russian prostitute and wanted to secretly drug his wife with antibiotics so his wife wouldn't find out. And so, this is the type of activities these individuals are involved in.
Right. And that's just really just the tip of the iceberg from what we've seen thus far. We said yesterday that surely there would be perhaps even things that were injected into these files that were false, because if you are the self-proclaimed elites that are playing these games, you would inject false narratives into there so that people get confused and don't even know what to do with this information. However, the email exchanges we presume are correct, because these are the emails that were going between these people being published, and this is what's on record. I don't think they'd be falsifying emails, but perhaps there's, for example, witness testimony. Sometimes witnesses get things wrong, or sometimes you have false witnesses. But as far as some of this evidence, like the pandemic simulations go, I think we can accept that was happening. We've reported extensively over the years of Bill Gates, the UN, Epstein connections, and it's clear that these tentacles go all over the world, Nick. So back to the point of us having this conversation today, which is this breaking study. It doesn't look like we're getting any accountability. It doesn't look like there's going to be justice for this, but this is what needs to happen, because we can't be having mRNA continuing to proliferate in society when it's doing this to people. And those of us who do not consent to this gross experiment surely have some legal rights here. I mean, what does humanity need to do at this point?
Yeah, we're in a very troubling situation right now, because as all of this evidence is uncovered, we still have not seen any pandemic accountability, and they just continue to roll them out. We thought we were going to get a black box warning. We didn't even get that. FDA Commissioner Marty Makary is compromised. And so this is all very disturbing. And so that's why we are putting out reports like the one that we just put out that are literally irrefutable proof that these injections stay in the body for years. Like it cannot be debunked. They have no way to do this for this case. And so we're going to continue to put out reports like this. We're going to send this report to key individuals. And, you know, the longer they just sit there and do nothing and allow these to be injected, you know, the more trouble they will be in the future.
Yeah, I think so. I think that there's a lot of us who aren't letting go of this, and we're not going to stop talking about this. And people are still suffering, like this gentleman who's gone through all these tests. Very grateful to him for doing all of that. I can't imagine, I mean, I can't even imagine the cost of doing all of this and doing these studies. So to you and to the McCullough Foundation, thank you so much. Where people can find this is on Nicholas Hulscher's Substack, which is thefocalpoints.com. I just want to bring that that study up again for everyone. Thefocalpoints.com, and the title is Breaking Vaccine mRNA, Plasmid DNA, and Spike Protein Can Persist in Humans More Than 3.5 Years After COVID-19 Vaccination. You can also follow Nick on X, and we really do encourage you to, at Nick Hulscher. That's at Nick Hulscher. And I guess just share this everywhere. I mean, everyone needs to know this. All of our families that fell victim to this gross experiment need to know this, and people need to get angry and demand justice. We can't let this go. We can't let them tell us it's over now, case closed, where COVID is concerned, where Epstein is concerned, where all of these things are concerned. We need answers.
Yes, we need answers, and we're not going to stop. We're not going to stop pushing for answers and exposing what has been happening to the globe since 2021. And we have to remember, I don't think it's going to last forever. I don't think the protection of false claims and all sorts of lies, deadly lies that were pushed by so many key individuals, I don't think they will have protection forever because the evidence is simply too undeniable.
Thank you so much.